It was a regular Tuesday morning, the kind where people are either rushing to catch their flights or sipping coffee while scrolling through their phones. For Jasmine Carter, it started like any other day. She had woken up early, packed her bag, and headed to the airport for a flight from New York to Los Angeles. A self-made millionaire and tech entrepreneur, Jasmine wasn't someone who liked to waste time. Even in first class, she always carried her laptop, ready to work on her next big idea. But what happened that day turned out to be anything but ordinary. Jasmine walked into the plane confidently, dressed casually but carrying herself with the kind of poise that made heads turn. She slid into her seat, adjusted her headphones, and opened her laptop. Her mind was already buzzing with thoughts about an important investor meeting later that afternoon. Everything seemed normal, until it wasn't. As more passengers began boarding, a flight attendant approached Jasmine. At first, Jasmine thought maybe they were there to offer her a drink or check something routine. But then things took a strange turn. The flight attendant told her there was an issue with her ticket. Jasmine frowned, confused. She knew she had booked the right seat. Everything was confirmed. Before she could even ask questions, 2 security officers appeared beside her. They asked her to step off the plane immediately. At this point, Jasmine felt a mix of emotions, shock, embarrassment, and anger all bubbling inside her. What exactly was going on? Wasn't she paying for a service like everyone else? As she gathered her belongings and followed the officers off the plane, whispers spread among the other passengers. Some looked concerned, others curious, but none of them stepped forward to help. Later, Jasmine learned the truth. It wasn't about her ticket at all. Another passenger had complained, saying she didn't look like someone who belonged in first class. Those words hit hard. Here was a woman who had built a billion-dollar company from scratch, worked tirelessly to achieve success, and yet she was being judged based on how she looked. It wasn't just insulting, it was dehumanizing. But this wasn't just Jasmine's story anymore. One of the passengers on the plane quietly recorded the entire incident on their phone. Within hours, the video went viral. Social media exploded with outrage. Hashtags like "Justice for Jasmine" trended worldwide as people demanded answers. How could something like this happen in 2023? Why was racial profiling still so rampant, especially in places like airports where people were simply trying to travel? For Jasmine, the incident was deeply personal, but it also struck a chord with millions of others who had faced similar discrimination, whether it was being questioned at check-in counters, pulled aside for extra security checks, or treated differently because of their skin color. Many saw themselves in Jasmine's story. People shared their own experiences online, flooding timelines with stories of unfair treatment. The airline involved quickly became the center of global criticism. But instead of letting the humiliation defeat her, Jasmine decided to channel her frustration into action. This wasn't just about her, it was about exposing a much bigger problem. Airlines, like many industries, often operated under outdated systems that allowed bias to creep in unnoticed. And if no one stood up to challenge these practices, nothing would ever change. Sitting in her living room back in Los Angeles after the incident, Jasmine couldn't stop thinking about what had happened. She replayed the moment over and over in her mind, not because she wanted to dwell on the pain, but because she saw an opportunity. An opportunity to not only hold the airline accountable, but also to create something better, something revolutionary. What if she could build an airline that treated every passenger with dignity and respect, regardless of their race, gender, or background? What if she could use technology to eliminate bias and ensure fairness in every interaction? These questions sparked an idea that would soon grow into a movement. Jasmine knew she had the resources and the drive to make it happen. After all, she had already proven herself as a trailblazer in the tech world. Her company, Quantum Tech, was worth billions and known for its innovative solutions. If anyone could shake up the aviation industry, it was her. But taking on such a massive challenge wouldn't be easy. It would require courage, strategy, and most importantly, support from others who believed in her vision. As days passed, Jasmine began sketching out plans for what she envisioned. a new kind of airline that prioritized inclusivity, equity, and exceptional customer service. She imagined terminals designed to make travelers feel welcome, advanced algorithms to prevent biased decision-making, and programs to uplift minority employees. This wasn't just going to be another airline, it was going to be a statement. A statement that said enough was enough, and it was time for real change. Little did Jasmine know, this was only the beginning of a journey that would not only transform her life, but also reshape the future of air travel. After the storm of emotions that followed her removal from the plane, Jasmine found herself sitting alone in her Los Angeles home. The world outside was buzzing with outrage over what had happened to her, but inside, she felt a mix of anger and determination. She knew this wasn't just about one bad experience, it was about something much bigger. It was about showing the world that discrimination couldn't go unchecked. And it was about proving that she could turn pain into purpose. Jasmine had always been someone who thought big. As the founder of a billion-dollar tech company, she was no stranger to dreaming up ideas that seemed impossible at first glance. Her mind raced as she imagined what she could do next. Building an airline? That sounded crazy, even for her. But the more she thought about it, the more it made sense. Why not create an airline that didn't just focus on profits but also treated every passenger with dignity and respect? An airline where people wouldn't have to worry about being judged based on their appearance or background. She called it Horizon Airlines. The name itself carried meaning. It symbolized new beginnings, fresh perspectives, and limitless possibilities. Horizon wouldn't just be another carrier. It would set a new standard for how airlines operated. From the way employees were trained, to the technology used to serve passengers, everything would revolve around fairness, inclusivity, and excellence. But building an airline wasn't like launching a startup app or creating a new gadget. It required massive funding, billions of dollars worth. Airlines needed planes, terminals, staff, fuel, and countless other resources. For most people, this would have been the point where they gave up. But Jasmine wasn't most people. She had spent years climbing mountains in the business world, and she wasn't afraid of hard work. If anything, challenges only fueled her drive. Her first step was to figure out how to pitch her idea to investors. She knew money alone wouldn't convince them. They'd need to see why Horizon Airlines mattered. So she started by outlining her vision. She wanted to build an airline that used cutting-edge technology to eliminate bias in customer interactions. Imagine check-in systems powered by artificial intelligence that ensured everyone received equal treatment, regardless of their race, gender, or socioeconomic status. This wasn't just about making travel easier, it was about making it fairer. Jasmine also envisioned hiring practices that prioritized diversity and inclusion. Instead of filling roles with the same old faces, Horizon Airlines would actively seek out talented individuals from underrepresented communities. Employees would undergo training programs designed to root out unconscious biases and promote empathy. Every interaction between staff and passengers would reflect the values of respect and understanding. Of course, none of this came cheap. To bring her vision to life, Jasmine estimated she'd need around $4 billion. $4 billion might as well have been a fantasy number for anyone else, but Jasmine believed she could pull it off. After all, she had already proven herself capable of achieving the improbable. Her tech company had grown from a tiny office space to a global powerhouse within a decade. Why should this be any different? The key, she realized, was finding the right partners. Investors weren't just looking for innovative ideas, they wanted to know those ideas could make money. So Jasmine focused on presenting Horizon Airlines not just as a socially conscious project, but also as a smart financial investment. She gathered data showing how diverse companies often outperformed their competitors. She highlighted trends, indicating growing consumer demand for ethical businesses, and she emphasized the competitive edge Horizon Airlines would have by offering services no other airline provided. With her plan taking shape, Jasmine turned her attention to identifying potential backers. One name kept coming up: Global Capital Partners, GCP, a firm known for funding groundbreaking ventures. GCP had deep pockets and a reputation for supporting bold ideas, but they weren't exactly famous for championing social causes. Still, Jasmine saw an opportunity. If she could show them how Horizon Airlines aligned with both their financial goals and the shifting expectations of society, she might just win them over. Preparing for the pitch became Jasmine's full-time job. She spent weeks refining her presentation, practicing until she could deliver it flawlessly. She included real-life examples of discrimination in the aviation industry, drawing from her own experience as well as stories shared by others online. She showed statistics revealing how systemic bias affected millions of travelers worldwide. And she painted a vivid picture of what Horizon Airlines could look like, a beacon of hope in an industry long overdue for change. Finally, the day of the meeting arrived. Jasmine walked into the boardroom feeling calm yet determined. She knew rejection was a possibility, but she also knew she had nothing to lose by trying. As she stood before the GCP executives, she spoke passionately about her vision. She talked about the power of innovation and the importance of doing business ethically. She explained how Horizon Airlines wouldn't just compete with existing carriers. It would redefine air travel altogether. By the time she finished, the room was silent. Jasmine held her breath, waiting for their response. Then slowly, one of the executives nodded. Another chimed in, agreeing that her idea had merit. By the end of the meeting, GCP had committed to redirecting $4 billion in funding, earmarked for the very airline that had humiliated Jasmine toward Horizon Airlines instead. It was a monumental victory, not just for Jasmine personally, but for everyone who had ever faced discrimination while traveling. As Jasmine left the boardroom that day, she allowed herself a small smile. She knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy. Building an airline from scratch would require endless hours of work, sleepless nights, and tough decisions. But she also knew she had taken the first step toward creating something extraordinary, something that could inspire change far beyond the skies. For now, though, Jasmine let herself savor the moment. She had turned a painful chapter in her life into a chance to rewrite the rules. And as she drove home, she couldn't help but think about all the lives Horizon Airlines would touch once it took flight. With the $4 billion in funding secured, Jasmine wasted no time getting to work. This wasn't just about building an airline anymore. It was about proving that a business could succeed while staying true to its values. For her, Horizon Airlines wasn't just another company. It was a movement. A chance to show the world that fairness, respect, and innovation could coexist. And she was ready to pour every ounce of her energy into making it happen. The first thing Jasmine did was assemble a team. But this wasn't your typical boardroom lineup of executives in suits. She wanted people who shared her vision. People who understood what it meant to be treated unfairly and who were passionate about creating change. She reached out to engineers, designers, aviation experts, and even psychologists. Why psychologists? Because she knew that building a culture of empathy required understanding human behavior. If Horizon Airlines was going to break the mold, it needed to start with the right foundation. Jasmine also made sure her team reflected the diversity she wanted to see in the airline itself. She hired individuals from all walks of life, young and old, men and women, people from different ethnicities and backgrounds. Each person brought something unique to the table, whether it was technical expertise, creative problem-solving, or lived experience. Together, they formed a powerhouse group determined to bring Horizon Airlines to life. Next came the planning phase. Building an airline isn't like setting up a coffee shop or opening a boutique hotel. It's a massive undertaking that involves everything from designing airplanes to training staff to ensuring safety regulations are met. Jasmine dove into every detail, refusing to cut corners. She visited manufacturing plants where planes were built, learning about fuel efficiency and eco-friendly materials. She toured airports, studying how passengers move through terminals and identifying areas where the process could be improved. One of her biggest priorities was technology. Jasmine believed that tech could play a crucial role in eliminating bias and improving customer experiences. So she worked closely with her engineers to develop AI-powered systems that would handle tasks like check-in, boarding, and baggage handling. These systems weren't just faster. They were designed to treat every passenger equally. For example, instead of relying on human judgment during security checks, the AI would analyze data objectively, reducing the chances of unfair targeting. But technology alone wasn't enough. Jasmine knew that real change had to come from people, too. That's why she created extensive training programs for employees focusing not just on skills but also on mindset. Staff members learned how to recognize unconscious biases and how to address them. They practiced active listening and conflict resolution techniques. The goal was simple. When passengers interacted with Horizon Airlines employees, they should feel valued and respected, no matter who they were. As construction began on Horizon's first terminal, Jasmine made sure every aspect of the design reflected her commitment to inclusivity. The space was bright and welcoming, with comfortable seating areas and clear signage in multiple languages. There were quiet zones for travelers who needed a break from the chaos, as well as family-friendly sections equipped with play areas for kids. Even the bathrooms were designed with accessibility in mind, featuring amenities for people with disabilities and parents traveling with infants. Jasmine didn't stop there. She wanted Horizon Airlines to give back to the community, so she launched initiatives aimed at uplifting underrepresented groups. One program offered scholarships to minority students interested in careers in aviation. Another provided mentorship opportunities for women looking to break into leadership roles within the industry. These efforts weren't just good PR, they were part of Jasmine's larger mission to create lasting change. While all this was happening, Jasmine kept one eye on the competition. The airline that had humiliated her was struggling. Losing the $4 billion in funding from global capital partners had hit them hard, and the negative publicity surrounding the incident hadn't helped either. Passengers were canceling flights, corporate partnerships were falling apart, and their stock prices were plummeting. Jasmine didn't take any joy in their downfall. She simply saw it as proof that accountability mattered. When companies failed to treat people fairly, there were consequences. Still, Jasmine knew Horizon Airlines couldn't rely on its competitors' misfortunes to succeed. Success had to come from delivering exceptional service and earning customers' trust. To do that, she decided to involve the public in shaping the airline's identity. She launched a global campaign called Fly with Dignity, inviting travelers to share their stories of discrimination in the aviation industry. Thousands responded, flooding social media with posts about being profiled, ignored, or mistreated by airlines. These stories became the backbone of Horizon Airlines' marketing strategy. Instead of flashy ads featuring luxury travel, Jasmine focused on authenticity. Her message was clear. Horizon Airlines existed because of these voices. It was built for the millions of people who deserved better. And it wouldn't rest until flying felt safe, fair, and enjoyable for everyone. As the months passed, Jasmine's hard work began paying off. Construction on the terminal progressed smoothly, and the first batch of employees completed their training. Suppliers delivered state-of-the-art planes customized with Horizon's eco-friendly features. Behind the scenes, teams tested the AI systems repeatedly, ensuring they worked flawlessly. Everything was falling into place. But Jasmine never lost sight of why she started this journey. Late at night, after long days filled with meetings and decisions, she'd sit in her office and scroll through the messages people had sent her. Some thanked her for standing up against discrimination. Others shared how inspired they were by her courage. Reading those words reminded her that Horizon Airlines wasn't just about planes and profits, it was about hope. By the time preparations neared completion, anticipation was building worldwide. People were eager to see what Horizon Airlines would look like and how it would operate. Journalists wrote articles speculating about its impact on the industry. Travel influencers posted excited updates online. Even critics who doubted Jasmine's ability to pull off such an ambitious project admitted they were curious to see the final result. For Jasmine, the most rewarding part was knowing she had sparked a conversation. What started as a humiliating moment on a plane had grown into a global movement. Countless people now believed that change was possible, that industries could evolve to become more inclusive and equitable. And Horizon Airlines was proof of that possibility. As launch day approached, Jasmine allowed herself a moment to reflect. She thought about the challenges she'd faced, the doubters she'd silenced, and the dreams she'd turned into reality. She thought about the passengers who would soon board Horizon Airlines flights, carrying with them hopes, fears, and aspirations. Most of all, she thought about the future. A future where air travel wasn't just a means of getting from one place to another, but a symbol of progress and humanity, and she knew without a doubt that this was only the beginning. The day had finally arrived. After 2 years of relentless work, sleepless nights, and countless hurdles, Horizon Airlines was ready to take its first flight. The launch wasn't just a milestone for Jasmine, it was a moment that millions around the world had been waiting for. People from all walks of life tuned in to watch the event, eager to see what this new airline represented and how it would change the way they traveled. Jasmine stood at the center of it all, her heart racing with excitement and nerves. She wore a confident smile, but inside she felt the weight of everything that had led her here. This wasn't just an airline taking off. It was a dream coming to life. A dream born out of pain, resilience, and an unshakable belief that things could be better. The inaugural flight was set to depart from Los Angeles to Johannesburg, a route chosen deliberately. For Jasmine, it held deep personal significance. Her ancestors had roots in Africa, and choosing this destination symbolized a connection to her heritage. It also highlighted one of Horizon Airlines' core missions, bridging gaps between cultures and communities. From the moment passengers stepped into the terminal, they were greeted with warmth and care, setting the tone for what was to come. As travelers made their way through the terminal, they noticed something different right away. The check-in process was smooth, almost effortless. There were no long lines or impatient sighs. Instead, friendly staff guided passengers through AI-powered kiosks that processed tickets quickly and efficiently. Every interaction felt personal, as if the system understood exactly what each traveler needed. No one was rushed, overlooked, or treated like a number. It was clear that Horizon Airlines had reimagined even the smallest details to prioritize comfort and respect. Once on board, passengers marveled at the design of the cabins. Gone were the cramped seats and outdated interiors found on so many other flights. Horizon's planes featured spacious, ergonomic seating crafted with sustainable materials. The lighting was soft and calming, creating an atmosphere that felt more like a luxury lounge than an airplane cabin. Even economy class offered amenities usually reserved for premium flyers: plush blankets, noise-canceling headphones, and complimentary meals prepared by renowned chefs. But what truly set Horizon Airlines apart was its crew. Each member had undergone rigorous training not only in customer service but also in empathy and cultural awareness. They moved through the aisles with genuine smiles, addressing passengers by name and anticipating their needs before being asked. Whether it was helping a nervous flyer feel comfortable during turbulence or ensuring a family traveling with young children had everything they required, the staff went above and beyond to make every passenger feel valued. For Jasmine, watching this unfold was surreal. She walked through the terminal earlier that morning, stopping to speak with passengers and thank them for choosing Horizon Airlines. Many shared their stories with her. Some expressed gratitude for finally feeling seen and respected, while others admitted they had initially been skeptical but were now impressed by the level of care they received. These conversations reminded Jasmine why she had poured her soul into this project. It wasn't about building an empire. It was about restoring faith in humanity. Back in the control room, teams monitored the flight closely. Advanced systems tracked fuel efficiency, weather patterns, and passenger feedback in real time. If any issues arose, solutions were implemented instantly. Nothing was left to chance. Jasmine had insisted on transparency, so passengers could access updates about their journey directly from their devices. This level of communication reassured travelers that Horizon Airlines prioritized safety and reliability alongside comfort. Meanwhile, outside the airport, the buzz around Horizon Airlines continued to grow. Media outlets covered the launch extensively, praising the airline's innovative approach and commitment to inclusivity. Social media lit up with photos and videos from passengers sharing their experiences. One elderly woman posted a video of herself enjoying a glass of wine in business class, saying, "I've flown all over the world, but I've never felt this cared for." Another traveler tweeted, "Horizon Airlines isn't just changing air. Travel, they're changing lives." By the end of its first year, Horizon Airlines became the fastest-growing airline in history. Passengers flooded social media with glowing reviews, and industry experts hailed it as a game-changer. Major corporations began partnering with Horizon, recognizing its alignment with modern values. Competitors scrambled to catch up, attempting to mimic its practices, but falling short. What they failed to understand was that Horizon Airlines wasn't just following trends, it was setting them. Behind the scenes, Jasmine remained focused on expanding the airline's reach. New routes were added, connecting underserved regions with major cities. Programs aimed at empowering minority communities continued to thrive, providing opportunities for aspiring pilots, engineers, and aviation professionals. Horizon Airlines wasn't just a business, it was a platform for change. Of course, challenges still arose. Running an airline came with its share of unexpected obstacles, from mechanical delays to fluctuating fuel prices. But Jasmine approached each problem with the same determination that had driven her from the start. She listened to feedback, adapted when necessary, and never lost sight of her mission. For her, success wasn't measured in profits alone. It was measured in the impact Horizon Airlines had on people's lives. As the months turned into years, Jasmine's influence extended far beyond aviation. Her story inspired countless individuals to challenge inequality wherever they encountered. Schools invited her to speak about overcoming adversity, and organizations sought her advice on fostering diversity and inclusion. Through it all, she remained humble, always reminding herself of the values that had guided her journey. Looking back, Jasmine realized that Horizon Airlines had become more than just an airline. It had become a symbol of hope. It proved that businesses could succeed without compromising their principles. It showed that treating people with dignity wasn't just the right thing to do. It was the smart thing to do. And most importantly, it demonstrated that one person's courage could spark a movement capable of transforming an entire industry. Even as Horizon Airlines soared to new heights, Jasmine knew there was still work to be done. The fight against discrimination wouldn't end overnight, and neither would her commitment to creating a fairer, kinder world. But for now, she allowed herself to celebrate. Standing on the tarmac, watching another Horizon Airlines plane ascend into the sky, she felt a profound sense of pride. Against all odds, she had turned a painful chapter in her life into a legacy of change. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting golden light across the runway, Jasmine knew this was just the beginning of a brighter future. For herself, for her airline, and for everyone who believed in the power of possibility. Years had passed since that fateful day when Jasmine was pulled off a plane and humiliated in front of the world. What started as an act of discrimination became the spark for something revolutionary. Horizon Airlines wasn't just thriving, it was transforming lives, reshaping industries, and proving that businesses could succeed while staying true to their values. For Jasmine, the journey had been long and challenging, but every step reinforced her belief in the power of perseverance and purpose. As Horizon Airlines continued to grow, its impact rippled far beyond the skies. Passengers weren't just flying, they were experiencing a new way of travel, one rooted in fairness, respect, and innovation. The airline's success sent shockwaves through the aviation industry, forcing competitors to rethink their practices. Some tried to mimic Horizon's model, introducing superficial changes like eco-friendly cups or token diversity hires. But without genuine commitment, these efforts fell flat. People saw right through them. Horizon Airlines wasn't about surface-level adjustments. It was about systemic change, built from the ground up with integrity at its core. Jasmine understood that real progress required more than just running a successful airline. She wanted to leave behind a legacy that would outlast her. To do this, she turned her focus toward empowering others. She founded the Carter Foundation, a non-profit organization dedicated to uplifting underrepresented entrepreneurs and dismantling barriers across industries. Through mentorship programs, grants, and educational initiatives, the foundation aimed to create opportunities for those who had been overlooked or shut out of traditional systems. One of the foundation's flagship projects was a scholarship fund for minority students pursuing careers in STEM fields: science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Jasmine knew firsthand how crucial education was in breaking cycles of inequality. Growing up, she had faced countless obstacles herself, often being told she didn't belong in certain spaces because of her background. Now she wanted to ensure no one else felt that way. By investing in young minds, she hoped to inspire a new generation of innovators who could continue pushing boundaries and driving change. The Carter Foundation also launched workshops and networking events designed to connect aspiring entrepreneurs with seasoned professionals. These gatherings weren't your typical stuffy conferences filled with jargon-heavy speeches. Instead, they were intimate, collaborative spaces where participants could share ideas, ask questions, and learn from each other. Jasmine made it a point to attend many of these events herself, eager to meet the next wave of changemakers. She loved hearing their stories, their struggles, dreams, and aspirations, and offering guidance whenever she could. Beyond her work with the foundation, Jasmine used her platform to advocate for broader societal shifts. She wrote a memoir titled "Sky High: Rising Above Racism," detailing her journey from that humiliating moment on the plane to becoming a global leader in both tech and aviation. The book quickly became a bestseller, resonating with readers around the world. In it, Jasmine didn't shy away from discussing the pain and frustration she had experienced, but she also emphasized hope, resilience, and the importance of turning adversity into action. Her words inspired people from all walks of life, reminding them that even in the darkest moments, there is always room for growth and transformation. Her story struck a chord not only with individuals but also with corporations. Many companies reached out to Jasmine, asking for advice on how to implement more inclusive practices within their own organizations. Some invited her to speak at leadership summits, while others sought her input on developing diversity training programs. Jasmine welcomed these opportunities, knowing that real change happened when entire industries worked together. She encouraged leaders to move beyond performative gestures and instead embed equity into the DNA of their businesses. Horizon Airlines itself continued to break records, expanding its routes and earning accolades for its innovative approach. It introduced groundbreaking technologies that set new standards for efficiency and sustainability. For example, the airline partnered with renewable energy companies to develop biofuel-powered planes, significantly reducing its carbon footprint. It also pioneered a zero-waste initiative, eliminating single-use plastics and encouraging passengers to participate in recycling programs on board. These efforts earned Horizon Airlines numerous environmental awards, further solidifying its reputation as a trailblazer. But perhaps the most remarkable aspect of Horizon Airlines' success was the way it touched individual lives. Countless passengers shared stories of how the airline had restored their faith in humanity. One woman recounted how the staff went above and beyond to help her reunite with her family after a missed connection. Another man described how he finally felt comfortable traveling alone after years of avoiding flights due to past experiences of discrimination. These testimonials poured in daily, serving as a constant reminder of why Jasmine had embarked on this journey in the first place. Even as her influence grew, Jasmine never lost sight of her roots. Despite her fame and wealth, she remained grounded, always prioritizing people over profits. She often visited schools and community centers, speaking directly with children and young adults about the importance of dreaming big and standing up for what's right. Her message was simple yet powerful. You don't have to accept the status quo. If you see something wrong, speak up, and if you have the chance to make things better, take it. Jasmine's humility and authenticity endeared her to millions. Fans affectionately referred to her as the woman who changed the skies, though she preferred to think of herself as someone who simply refused to stay silent. She believed that everyone had the potential to create change, whether by starting a movement, supporting a cause, or simply treating others with kindness. Every action mattered, no matter how small. As time went on, Jasmine reflected on how much had changed, not just in her life but in the world around her. The incident that once seemed like a devastating blow had become the catalyst for something extraordinary. It taught her that setbacks could be stepping stones if approached with the right mindset. It showed her the strength of unity, as millions rallied behind her vision and demanded accountability from an industry long overdue for reform. Most importantly, it reminded her that humanity's greatest achievements often arise from its darkest moments. Looking ahead, Jasmine knew there was still work to be done. Discrimination hadn't disappeared overnight, and systemic inequities persisted in countless areas of society. But she took comfort in knowing that she had planted seeds of change, seeds that would continue to grow long after she was gone. Through Horizon Airlines, the Carter Foundation, and her advocacy efforts, she had created a blueprint for others to follow, a blueprint rooted in empathy, courage, and unwavering determination. On quiet evenings, Jasmine liked to sit by the window of her home, watching planes ascend into the night sky. Each flight carried passengers bound for destinations unknown, carrying with them hopes, dreams, and untold stories. As she gazed upward, she felt a deep sense of fulfillment. This wasn't just an airline soaring through the clouds. It was proof that humanity could rise above its flaws and strive for something greater. And so, Jasmine's journey continued, not as a tale of revenge or triumph over adversity, but as a testament to the enduring power of hope. Her story reminded us all that even when faced with injustice, we have the ability to turn pain into purpose, challenges into opportunities, and dreams into reality. Because sometimes the highest heights aren't reached by climbing mountains, but by lifting others along the way. Years had passed since Jasmine Carter first stepped off that plane in disgrace, only to rise above it and create something extraordinary. Her story wasn't just about personal redemption, it was about leaving a mark on the world, one that would endure long after she was gone. Horizon Airlines had become more than an airline. It was a symbol of hope, resilience, and the belief that change is possible when people refuse to accept injustice. By now, Jasmine's influence stretched far beyond aviation. She had become a global icon for equity and innovation, someone whose name inspired admiration and respect. But what truly set her apart was her ability to stay grounded despite her success. No matter how many awards she received or how many headlines featured her face, she never forgot why she started this journey. For Jasmine, it had always been about people, their stories, their struggles, and their potential. One of the most remarkable aspects of Jasmine's legacy was how deeply it resonated with everyday individuals. Countless people shared how her story had impacted their lives. A young girl from a small town wrote to Jasmine saying she had dreamed of becoming an engineer, but felt discouraged because she didn't see anyone who looked like her in the field. After reading about Jasmine's journey, she decided to pursue her passion anyway. "You showed me I can be anything," the letter read. "Thank you for believing in us before we even believed in ourselves." Another man described how he used to dread flying due to past experiences of profiling and mistreatment, but his first flight with Horizon Airlines changed everything. "For the first time, I felt safe," he wrote. "Not just physically, but emotionally. It reminded me that there are still good people in this world who care about fairness." These messages flooded Jasmine's inbox daily, each one reinforcing the importance of her work. Jasmine also understood that true progress required collaboration. While Horizon Airlines continued to thrive, she worked tirelessly to ensure its values spread across industries. She partnered with organizations in tech, healthcare, education, and beyond, encouraging them to adopt inclusive practices. Through conferences, panels, and private consultations, she challenged leaders to rethink traditional systems and embrace diversity as a strength rather than a checkbox. Her memoir, Sky High, Rising Above Racism, became a guiding light for readers around the globe. Schools added it to their curriculums, businesses distributed copies to employees, and book clubs discussed its themes late into the night. What struck people most was Jasmine's honesty. She didn't sugarcoat the pain she endured or pretend. It was easy to overcome. Instead, she laid bare her fears, doubts, and moments of weakness, showing that vulnerability isn't a flaw, it's a source of power. By sharing her truth, she gave others permission to confront their own challenges head-on. Through the Carter Foundation, Jasmine poured resources into initiatives aimed at leveling the playing field. One program focused on training minority entrepreneurs in business skills, providing them with access to funding and mentorship. Another initiative brought underprivileged youth into STEM fields, offering hands-on workshops and internships with leading companies. These efforts weren't just about charity, they were about creating pathways to opportunity, empowering individuals to build better futures for themselves and their communities. But perhaps Jasmine's greatest contribution was the cultural shift she sparked. Her actions inspired a wave of accountability in industries once resistant to change. Companies began scrutinizing their hiring practices, reevaluating their marketing strategies, and listening more closely to the voices of marginalized groups. Some changes were subtle, a shift in language here, a policy update there, but collectively they signaled a broader movement toward inclusivity. Horizon Airlines remained at the forefront of this transformation. Its success proved that doing the right thing wasn't just morally commendable, it was financially viable too. Passengers flocked to the airline not only for its luxurious amenities, but also for its commitment to treating everyone equally. Competitors scrambled to adapt, realizing they could no longer ignore the growing demand for ethical practices. In many ways, Jasmine had rewritten the rules of the game. Yet despite all her achievements, Jasmine never sought the spotlight for herself. She avoided flashy parties and high-profile events, preferring instead to focus on the work that mattered. When asked about her motivations, she often said, "I didn't do this for recognition. I did it because I believe we owe it to each other, to make the world a little kinder, a little fairer, and a little brighter." Even as Horizon Airlines expanded globally, Jasmine made sure to maintain its original spirit. Every new terminal reflected her vision of inclusivity and accessibility. Staff members underwent continuous training to ensure they embodied the airline's core values, and passengers continued to rave about the personalized service they received, whether they were traveling economy or first class. In quieter moments, Jasmine allowed herself to reflect on how far she'd come. She thought about the early days of Horizon Airlines, when doubters dismissed her idea as unrealistic. She remembered the sleepless nights spent poring over blueprints and financial reports, wondering if she'd bitten off more than she could chew. And she recalled the overwhelming support she received from strangers who saw themselves in her story and rallied behind her cause. What stood out most to Jasmine was the ripple effect her actions had created. The woman who once felt humiliated on a plane now stood as proof that adversity could fuel greatness. Her courage had inspired others to speak up, to challenge systems of oppression, and to dream bigger than they ever thought possible. In turn, those individuals carried the torch forward, igniting change in their own corners of the world. As the years went by, Jasmine began thinking about the next generation. She envisioned a future where discrimination was a relic of the past, a distant memory studied in history books. To help bring that vision closer to reality, she launched a campaign called The Next Horizon. It encouraged young people to identify problems in their communities and propose solutions, offering grants to bring their ideas to life. From renewable energy projects to anti-bullying campaigns, the submissions poured in, showcasing the boundless creativity and compassion of today's youth. Jasmine knew she couldn't solve every issue herself, but she believed that by planting seeds of change, she could create a forest of possibilities. Each person she touched, each life she impacted, carried the potential to spark another movement, another revolution. Change wasn't linear, it was exponential, and Jasmine was determined to accelerate it however she could. On the anniversary of Horizon Airlines' inaugural flight, Jasmine stood at the edge of a runway, watching as planes took off into the sky. The scene was familiar, yet profoundly different from the day she was pulled off that plane years ago. Back then, she had felt powerless, defeated by a system that refused to see her worth. Now she watched with pride as thousands of passengers boarded flights operated by an airline built on principles of fairness and respect. She thought about the countless lives connected by those flights, families reuniting, students pursuing, education abroad, professionals chasing opportunities, and travelers exploring new cultures. Each journey represented a story waiting to unfold, a chapter in humanity's ongoing narrative. And through Horizon Airlines, Jasmine had played a role in shaping that narrative, ensuring it included everyone. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow across the tarmac, Jasmine felt a deep sense of peace. Her fight hadn't ended. There was still much work to be done. But she took comfort in knowing she had laid a foundation strong enough to withstand the test of time. Whether through Horizon Airlines, the Carter Foundation, or the countless lives she had touched, her legacy would live on. For Jasmine, the sky was no longer a limit. It was a beginning. It symbolized endless possibilities, infinite horizons, and the unwavering belief that humanity could soar higher than ever imagined. And as she walked away from the runway that evening, she smiled, knowing she had done her part to help lift the world upward, one flight at a time.